So you now know where to find your NFTs, but you don't know how to make a smart purchase. And that's why we brought on a guest today, Andy Storch, and we're going to get to it in just one sec.
Hey y'all, welcome to today's episode of NFTs for Newbies. And today we're going to be exploring something that many people have asked. I'm not going to lie to you, we've asked ourselves. How do we pick an NFT? There's so many projects out there. Are there some rules here? There's some things that we need to consider. That's what we're going to be exploring today. But Rich, you want to introduce Andy? Who's this Andy guy here? Because I've heard some things about him.
Here's how I'll introduce Andy. Andy, when we talked a few weeks ago, he said he's at a 4 out of 10 on a knowledge scale of NFTs. And I think he's actually more like a 9 out of 10. And we're hovering at a 2.5.
You're generous.
Andy, I will let you quickly talk about who you are and how you got into NFTs, and then we'll get into what the people really want.
Sure. I appreciate that. And thanks so much for having me on. I'm an author, speaker, consultant, total corporate business guy. So I'm not a tech nerd, who has come at this. I have some of those friends, and I'm glad that I do, who really understand the tech side of this. Just someone like you who got really fascinated by this early in 2021 and started buying cryptocurrency and then getting into NFTs also because I was following Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, back in March, April, May timeframe and got into the VeeFriends launch. And this just started really diving deep into all this stuff and trying not to let it distract me too much from my main business because I'm an entrepreneur running a business as well.
Before we get into the very first question, I love to just mess with Heather, but
I knew
she no longer has VeeFriends.
I knew you were going to do this, Rich. Here's my confession to you. I haven't told you this yet, but we sold both of our VeeFriends.
You did what? How many VeeFriends do you have then? Heather has 0, but how many do you have?
Oh, I want to hear this story. I have 6. I bought 5 at the original auction in May, and then I bought 1 more on August 31st, so a couple months later.
At least, hold on. At least I did an interview, Gary Vaynerchuk, where he asked on the show, Rich, did you buy a VeeFriend? And you told him no. So I did. Yes.
And then I bought one right after that.
Let's move on with this. There are so many projects on there. And Andy, you said that you decided to go in, correct me if I'm wrong, with VeeFriends first. And then since then, you've expanded into several other projects. So tell us, first of all, the decision-making process to go ahead and go in with VeeFriends, and how have you used that decision-making process to buy these other NFTs?
Yeah, so there were 2 I got into back in May. One of them was VeeFriends because I had been following Gary Vee for many years, like both of you, and really trusted him. And when he said, you got to look at NFTs, I was researching and really trying to wrap my head around them, listening to all the content he put out there, reading his blog, all that sort of stuff, and then got ready when he launched that. And because I believed in him, trusted him, I did buy some of those initial VeeFriends, which, as much as I believed in him and trusted him, still seemed absolutely crazy at the time, right? I bought 5 of these things for what was 10.5 ETH. So at the time that was worth about $40,000. And I'm not some multimillionaire, right? I've done okay in business, but this was a significant amount of money to invest in some doodles, right? But I knew it came with access to his conference and some other things that he was building. And I had faith that this was going to work out. And luckily my wife was on board as well and agreed that, hey, we should do this. And one of the ones we bought, by the way, was the gift goat. That was the most expensive one that we bought. And that was a crazy conversation. My wife and I going back and forth about this every day. I listened to every interview that Gary did on every podcast, and he seemed to always be dropping hints about this gift goat and the value he was going to give there. That one I bought for 5 ETH, which was $20,000. And it's a picture of a goat, people. It's crazy, but it's supposed to come with a minimum of 6 physical gifts per year for the next 3 years. No idea what to expect.
How much is it valued at now?
Last time I saw it, around 100,000, maybe more. something like that. And I'm hoping it'll go up when the first gift comes. No idea. I'm just trying to keep my expectations low on that. I also got into another project at that time called Zed Run, which is a digital horse racing game that my friend Bennett got me into. And the interesting thing about NFTs, there's IP and there's art. There's a lot of games out there too that you can be investing in. Zed Run is like you buy the horses, you can breed horses, you can race them, you can do all this stuff like you would real horses in the real world. And so I was into that for a little bit with a friend of mine, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And
let me pause you there. there, was
sold
it because you trusted
Yeah.
your friend, or was there something about that caught your attention?
Yeah, so that one was totally with my friend Bennett.
We will.
He's more of an expert than I am. He started getting into that one and got me into it. And we ended up setting up a shared wallet together to go into business on that one. And we still have a lot of stuff in our shared wallet today. And we both individually invest in things. So I know you were going to ask about how do you get into certain projects. I think one of the big ones is people you trust that are excited about something, whether it be an influencer or a friend, can often get you into it.
So the follow on to that is you had all the information you needed with someone you trusted in terms of Gary Vee. You had the information you needed from Bennett, who's someone you trusted.
Yep.
You had a shared wallet. In 2021, you don't have a shared wallet with anyone, with someone you don't trust. But that doesn't mean your wallet only contains V friends and some of the Zed run. So you made some other choices. Let's talk back to people who have $200 to spend, $100 to spend, and then maybe work our way up. But like, how would you go about some of those?
The way I look at that, and I get this question a lot too, like, how do you think about investing in new projects or different projects, especially if you don't have a lot of money? For me, I think all that information is on Twitter. Like the NFT world exists on Twitter. So you can do a lot of research on there to see what people are talking about, especially influencers that you respect, admire, follow, like a Gary Vee or others. And then Discord, of course, I know you guys have talked about Discord. It's, social media platform. It's where the NFT world lives. And so if there's a project you're interested in, there's probably a Discord community for it. You can go in there, see what people are talking about. There seem to be excitement around it. And then you can also go on OpenSea, which I know you guys have talked about as kind of like the eBay of NFTs, and look at the transaction history, see what things are going for. Does it look like it's trending up or down? It's still always a risk, right? But there are plenty of lower tier, cheaper projects out there that are early, maybe not as popular, that maybe you can invest $250 in and see what happens.
What are you looking for in Twitter and Discord and all that? You said, see if there's excitement. Is that because it seems like everybody's pumped about their own little unicorn? What are we looking for?
Yeah. And I've definitely gotten caught in the hype of things that didn't turn out to be anything. Either it was a scam or just something that was worthless. That's happened to me a couple times. But I'm looking for, are the founders there? Are they active? Are they involved in the community and talking about some of the things they're doing? Do they have plans that seem really promising? Are other people in there excited saying like, hey, I'm buying? Not everybody's like, I'm trying to sell. And, is there a roadmap that seems interesting? What are they building behind it? And you might be buying something just for art. You might be buying it more for the community. It might be about the business behind it. So for one project that I've gotten really into, again, because of my friend Bennett, is something called Deadheads, which are these little 3D little art pieces of these like dead guys and skeletons and stuff. I bought a bunch back in July. The price hasn't moved very much. It's not like VFriends, but it's very promising because they've started an animated series. They're trying to, create like a movie and like games and all kinds of stuff. They're basically starting a media company.
Yeah.
So when you see the plans, do you believe in it or not? It's like investing in a startup.
Yeah, it's kind of like Stoner Cats with Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. And that's just an easy example to give. When Andy's talking about the business behind it, I believe, and I know Heather and I covered this on one episode, that it's not just about the art. There could be different types of incentives, like getting premier access to like a show or a gift, if you have a gift go, or all these different things. So I think those kind of creative methods not only makes you appreciate NFTs more and probably willing to invest again, but also fosters a community because they're probably going to have their own Discord channel or anything like that. Now, this brings me to a point. You mentioned projects that haven't moved. I have a project I invested in, and I think you did too, World of Women NFT. I got them really, really low. I think I got them for, I don't even remember the ETH amount, but it was like it was my first one, $200. I got an offer today for 1.7. I'm like thrilled. I'm like, that's a huge, huge jump over this course of time. But if you look at all the World of Women NFTs, they kind of look the same. If I'm going on OpenSea and I see Heather is selling one for 15 ETH and you're selling one for 7 and I have one that's worth 3, but they all look the same, why is that?
Yeah, so there's a few factors in there. I also have 2 World of Women, and that's been it's a really great project. It's been an interesting ride because the price went up so much in, I think, August, and then it's come down. But it's still like I'm up from where I bought it, and I bought it later than you, and you're definitely in the black on that one. So a lot of people pay attention to rarity. A lot of these big projects, the PFPs as they call them, which stands for profile picture, which is like 10,000 different renderings of something, VFriends, Bored Ape Yacht Club, World of Women, they have rarity traits, right? And there's some things that are more or less rare than others. And so a lot of people buy based on that and pay more for the things that are more rare. And I think there's a website you can check called rarity.tools that sort of ranks the rare traits. And then I think a lot of it also comes down to like what looks cool and what doesn't. And I know Gary always talks about this too, like just look through them and you know your budget. you can see what's for sale on OpenSea, and then like what looks cool to you. What do you want? What would you want hanging on your wall, and what do you want in your digital wallet, and what do you not? That's kind of the way I look at it.
Exactly right. Heather, you had something?
Is there anything you wish you would have known entering into this world that you've learned over the past few months?
I wish I would have knew a lot of things. I don't know. I wish I would have known that VFriends was going to do what it did, and I would have bought more of those, right? I think I wish I would have known that even though there's a lot of great people in this community, there are plenty of nefarious characters out there as well, and we need to really be on our guard when we're investing in projects. Like I said, I've been scammed once and gotten into
Me too.
Another thing that wasn't. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Scam club. Right? It's going to happen, but I mean, the gains far outweigh, I think, the downside. And I'm just like learning a lot of little things every day. So I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew going in. I'm just learning as much as I can.
So I'm looking at rarity.tools, just like you said, and it is perfect because it has all these ranks and collections. What if I see like the Bored Ape Yacht Club? Okay. That is now I would consider a brand. CryptoPunks is a brand. VFriends is a brand. But then we see a kind of spin-off of that. What would your warning or your advice be to someone who's looking at a spin-off where it's maybe Mutant Ape Yacht Club? And I'm like, well, this is definitely going to skyrocket like Bored Ape Yacht Club did.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things to consider there. Number one is there are a lot of projects that try to mimic the ones that are really worth a lot of money, like CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club. If you go search OpenSea, you'll find tons of collections that have similar names. Yes. Just hoping you'll be like, oh, Bored Ape Yacht Club is worth a lot of money. This is cool. I'll buy this, right? But there are also projects that are started by the members of those communities. So for instance, there's one called Punks Comics that I own in that shared wallet with my friend Bennett that's worth quite a bit of money that was started by Punks holders. There's one that we've been investing in called Bored Ape Comics that was started by a couple holders of apes. And then those companies can also do spin-off projects. So as you mentioned, Bored Ape Yacht Club, they've done 2 spin-off projects so far, the Bored Ape Kennel Club and the Bored Ape Mutants. And the Bored Ape Mutants, it was fascinating to me. I tried to get it on the mint and I tried to buy it, but the wheels were spinning and I didn't get it. And it was 3 ETH to mint one of these things. They sold out 10,000 in 30 minutes. And I think the amount of money they made was about $90 million in 30 minutes spinning this off because the collection is so popular. People believed, well, Bored Ape Yacht Club is so popular and so valuable, then anything they do is also going to be valuable. And I think if you look back at the Mutants now, I think they've probably doubled in price since then, but not much more than that. It's still good.
Is there anything left, Rich, that you want to ask?
Yeah, we're starting the Podcaster Ape Yacht Club. The 3 of us are going to mint soon. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, you joke about that, Rich, but I think there's so much opportunity for creators, whether you're authors, podcaster, artists, and I think this is where the world is going. And I know you probably have a lot of listeners who are like, I love Rich and Heather so much. I wish I could buy equity in them because they are rising stars. Well, if you released NFTs, that would be a way for them to do that, right? And that's where I see this space going. And I'm trying to kind of rack my brain about how I can do that with my own business and brand. And as far as how people can get in touch with me, I'm pretty active on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. My name is Andy Storch, Storch. And I've got a book as well called Own Your Career, Own Your Life.
Absolutely.
Throw us out a deck. Throw us out a deck. Come on, man. You always forget that.
Yeah.
Come on, it's the best
Get the
part.
deck.
It's the best
Here we
part.
go. All right, Andy, what is one surefire way to grab your attention?
Ooh, pay me a compliment. My love language is words of affirmation. So you're going to say something nice to me. It's probably going to get my attention.
Like, I love your NFT wallet.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate
We're
that.
getting out of here on that. But